Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful, highly practical skill, tracking down property deeds. Look, whether you're gearing up to buy some real estate, maybe you're tracing your family's genealogy, or you're doing some heavy-duty legal research, knowing exactly how to navigate county land records is just absolutely essential. We're going to decode this whole process for you, taking you from a total beginner to a completely confident researcher in no time. Let's get into it. But first, picture this. You've spent hours meticulously tracing a property line, or maybe you're desperately hunting for a historical deed to settle a complicated family estate. You finally pull up the county archives, and suddenly, nothing makes sense. The geography is completely wrong, the names are wrong, you've basically hit a brick wall. Why? Well, because you might literally be looking in the wrong state. Okay, so let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. First, the two totally different Stafford counties. Second, Virginia's digital land records. Third, Kansas's physical deed archives. Fourth, using third-party platforms. And finally, a quick summary and our final takeaways. Starting right off with Section 1, two different Stafford counties. So this is basically the ultimate fork in the road for our research journey today. And honestly, getting this wrong is a surprisingly common pitfall for everyone from title examiners to everyday researchers. You absolutely have to disambiguate the two. So on one hand, we've got Stafford County, Virginia. Now this is a high-density, rapidly expanding suburban community right in the Washington, Arlington, Alexandria metro area. But on the other hand, we have Stafford County, Kansas, which is a very rural, agricultural county smack in the central part of the state. So if you're researching your great-grandfather's wheat farm, you want Kansas. But if you're digging into a modern suburban subdivision near D.C., Virginia is your target. Regardless of the state, though, what exactly are we looking for here? Well, property deeds are the absolute bedrock of real estate. They are what actually secure and transfer property rights. When you search these databases, you're going to run into warranty deeds, which guarantee a clear title, and quitclaim deeds, which just transfer whatever interest a person has without any guarantee. You'll also see things like mortgages, mechanic liens, and, especially in a place like Kansas, oil and gas leases. Understanding these transaction types is absolutely crucial because they tell the real story of a piece of land. For example, spotting an unresolved mechanics lien early on, that is a massive red flag that can literally save a home buyer thousands of dollars. Moving on to Section 2, Virginia Digital Land Records. All right, we are shifting our focus entirely to the Virginia path now, where real property records are overseen by the Land Records Division under elected Circuit Court Clerk Kathy M. Stern. Now, Virginia runs a heavily digitized, centralized system. We're talking every single land record book and microfilm archive from 1699 to the present day, all converted into high-resolution digital images. But to access them remotely, you have to use their Secure Remote Access, or SRA portal, and it is a very specific process. Step 1, you have to submit a signed and notarized SRA application. Step 2, you actually have to mail in a physical check. No online payments for this part. Step 3, pay the subscription fee. And then Step 4, you finally get access to centuries of history. Now, what's really interesting about this is the financial reality of doing remote research in Virginia. There is a pretty strict digital paywall here. A 6-month subscription to that SRA portal, it's going to run you $300. A 12-month subscription is $600. And if you actually want to print or save a copy of a deed, it's 50 cents per page, while a certified copy is $2 each. So for casual researchers who maybe just need to look at a single document, this subscription model can definitely be a huge hurdle. On the flip side, if you're the one actually recording a deed in Virginia, you really need to know about their strict formatting rules. They require a mandatory Virginia Land Records cover sheet, or VLRCS, which you generate online for all submissions. Plus, Virginia uses these really modern automated fraud monitoring systems to protect property owners. So making sure your paperwork is perfectly formatted isn't just, a helpful suggestion. It's a hard, mandatory requirement if you want to get past the clerk's desk. But hey, what if you just want a single deed and absolutely don't want to pay that $300 SRA fee? Well, here's a fantastic workaround for you. The Virginia Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA. If you know exactly what you're looking for, you can just submit a FOIA request. By law, the county has to respond within 5 working days. And get this, if the search takes them 30 minutes or less, it's completely free. As for the duplication fee, it's capped at an incredibly low 2 cents per page, literally 2 cents. This is just a massive savings hack for targeted research. Just keep in mind, if your request is huge and the costs go over $200, they are going to require a deposit up front. Okay, here is another highly actionable tip and honestly a super common pitfall you've got to avoid in Virginia. When you're mailing documents in for recordation, or even just mailing in that SRA application we talked about, you have to use entirely different zip codes depending on your delivery method. Seriously, if you're using regular postal mail, you send it to P.O. Box 69, zip code 22555. But if you're using an overnight courier like FedEx or UPS, you have to send it to the physical building at 1300 Courthouse Road, zip code 22554. If you accidentally send a FedEx envelope to the P.O. box, you are going to face some major delays. Just before we leave Virginia, I absolutely have to highlight their Map Launch GIS platform, which is managed by David Capazaz and his team. This is a public, totally interactive spatial mapping tool, and it's just an incredible free resource. You literally just type in an address and instantly view digital property boundaries, zoning layers, and even historical aerial photos to see exactly how a parcel of land has changed over the decades. It's super cool. All right, Section 3, Kansas Physical Deed Archives. So we're pivoting pretty sharply away from the highly digitized suburban systems of Virginia now and stepping into the much more traditional in-person record-keeping system of the American heartland. Over in Stafford County, Kansas, real estate records are maintained by the elected Register of Deeds, Lou Ann Brister. Compared to Virginia, operations here are just much more personal and, well, physical. You're not going to find some massive remote access portal with records going back to the 1600s here. Instead, you'll find dedicated civil servants managing physical books, plats, and affidavits right there in the courthouse. And because this is a deeply agricultural county, the types of records you find look a bit different. Sure, you have your standard deeds and mortgages, but you're also looking at land patents, mineral deeds, and records for the sale of oil and gas royalties. It gives you a really fascinating look into the agricultural economy. Now, while they do maintain these vital physical archives, the county has noted that e-recording capabilities are coming soon, which is a big update. Also, fun fact, historical school records used to be kept here in this office, but they've recently been moved over to the county museum to ensure better historical preservation. So if you actually need to do some research in Kansas, an in-person trip might honestly be your best bet. You're going to want to head directly to the Stafford County Courthouse that's located at 209 North Broadway in the city of St. John, Kansas. Their office is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The staff there is absolutely wonderful, but do keep in mind, just like in Virginia, the clerks can definitely point you in the right direction, but by law, they cannot perform the actual title search for you or give you any sort of legal advice. Which brings us to Section 4, using third-party platforms. Let's be real, sometimes navigating complex government portals, paying those massive subscription fees, or, flying all the way to Kansas just isn't feasible for a single document pull. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where private aggregators come in. Take a platform like Home InfoMax, for example, where government portals often require signed applications, physical checks, and hefty semi-annual subscriptions just for one county. These third-party sites offer instant online access. They let you pay a flat fee per document, totally regardless of the page count, and you can search nationwide right from a single search bar. It can be a massive time saver. But you do have to be a savvy consumer here. I want to share this exact disclaimer pulled directly from our sources. Home InfoMax is a private provider and is not affiliated with government agencies. You really need to know how to spot that kind of thing. These sites aggregate data, which means while they are incredibly convenient, they are not the official legal record. If there happens to be a lag in their database updates, you might completely miss a newly filed lien. So always cross-check with the county if the stakes are high. Another third-party resource mentioned in our sources is Deeds.com. Now, if your goal isn't just to research a deed, but to actually draft and file one yourself, they provide a really massive library of ready-to-use state-specific forms. So whether you need a quitclaim deed for Virginia or maybe a transfer on death deed for Kansas, platforms like this can provide the exact templates you need to meet all those strict county recording requirements we were talking about earlier. And finally, Section 5, Summary and Final Takeaways. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, literally spanning from the bustling suburbs of D.C. all the way to the plains of Kansas. So the crucial point here is this: you have to approach your property research systematically. Number 1, verify beyond a shadow of a doubt whether your target property is in Virginia or Kansas. If it's Virginia, prepare for their strict digital paywalls, or go ahead and use that amazing 2-cent per page FOIA workaround we discussed. If it's Kansas, prepare for a much more traditional in-person research experience. And lastly, don't be afraid to leverage those third-party platforms for quick, flat-fee document pulls if the government hurdles are just a bit too high for your project. Now, this is vitally important to mention. The information in this explainer is designed to be a thorough, practical guide, but it is not legal advice. Real estate transactions, title clearances, and property disputes carry some massive financial and legal weight. If you're conducting research for actual legal purposes, you absolutely must consult a qualified real estate attorney or a title professional to be safe. I really hope this breakdown empowers you on your next research project. But it does leave us with a pretty fascinating thought. You know, in an era where our digital data changes by the second, establishing who actually owns the ground beneath our feet still requires digging through centuries of permanent, physical history. I mean, what hidden historical stories might the deeds to your own home reveal if you just looked close enough? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Please be sure to like this explainer, hit that subscribe button for more deep dives, and just keep learning. See you next time.